Great. We have been talking about generations and talking about the different timings. So let's see what do we have next in our kitty. First, I would like to invite Masood Hashmi Saab. Masood Hashmi Saab has been the chairman of Marcon. He has been the president of some of the Marcon events. He is Tamghai Imtiaz, director and CEO, Orient Communications. Thank you, sir. Next speaker, he is Naveed Asghar Saab. He is the Chief Marketing Officer, Habib Bank Limited. Sir, please come on the stage. Naveed Asghar Saab. All right. And then we have Mr. Hando Sinisalu. I'm sorry for this. He is the CEO and he's CEO of the Best Marketing International Europe. All right, cool. So Naveed Asghar Saab is also here. Great. Right. So interestingly, I will start with my own presentation, which talks about that how marketing paradigm is shifting in this digital age. I have actually started off disrupting myself. And I agree with one of the speakers today, one of the panelists, Farrah, that it's all about the mindset. Actually, it's not, the categorization of individuals. So Dr. Farrah Arif, who is 42 years old, you will see soon, she has started behaving like a teenager, perhaps, or at times I find that I'm behaving like a 10 years old. So it's not about your age at all, it's about your attitude. So let's start with how the marketing paradigm is changing in this age. Marketers are sitting here today, and this is not something new for us. As you all know, we start off with realizing the gap in the market. That's what we would like to know about. And then we would like to fill this gap by targeting the right audience, and here we create a lot of value, and don't forget, we create the value with 4 Ps. Now, I'm sure everybody knows about 4 Ps, right? I'm sure everybody knows about 4 Ps, yes or no? Yeah, I'm sure you know about it. But the interesting tweak is that as everything is changing in the digital world, don't you think that 4 Ps would be disrupted soon? Yes or no? Oh. You still don't believe in it? All right, let's see how we can, or perhaps some of us have already disrupted these 4 Ps. So before I jump on to the disruption of 4 Ps, this is the classical funnel which we all use. This is the dream of any marketer that yes, you have to create awareness and then you have to end with the dollar amount, right? And that dollar amount is coming from the conversion. But my dear friends, as you know, this has never been a simple task. And let me tell you, it has become even a more daunting task in this age of digitization. Why? Because your consumer is changing, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their geographical location. The attitude of your consumer is changing. Now, the smart companies have started doing what? They have started disrupting the classical funnel which we were aware of. They have started converting their consumers into this loyalty loop. Some of our friends were saying that perhaps there is no loyalty which is existing as of today, and I'm not blaming them. Yes, they are right. However, some of us have cracked the code. And we are saying that yes, you can create a loyalty loop by not letting your customers go into this classic funnel. Why don't you let your customer go in, or potential customer go into the consideration stage? Why even you let your customer go into the evaluation stage where they are comparing you with your competitors? Why just you don't create a new classical, new funnel, which perhaps the funnel of the digital age, where you are bypassing all the stages and converting them as your buyers? And the interesting thing is, and if you can notice over here, after buying, they are enjoying the journey. And once they start enjoying the journey, they become your advocates. In marketing, now you are not creating your customers, you are creating your advocates. And once they become your advocates, here comes that bond, which is the dream of all the marketers. Now, I haven't told you something new. You have been listening to this. But now the question is that can digitization help marketers creating this bond? So customers stay because they have intrinsic benefits along with extrinsic ones. Now we have been talking about that the customers have more aware of the environment. And if you are telling me that you are not wasting paper, or perhaps you're not wasting water, you are not then selling me the product. Actually, you are selling me the dream of good environment. And here is the hook, which is the hook of intrinsic benefit. Now, this is what we have started focusing at. And here is my favorite thing, gamification. So digitization is helping you in bringing gamification in the classic 4 Ps. Now you must be wondering, Dr. Farrah is talking about what? So let's talk about it. How we are bringing gamification in our classic 4 Ps. Hey, we are co-creating products. Can you think of a product which you are co-creating? Let me give you a classic example of co-creation. You all know about Dell. Dell has disrupted the PC world way back about 20 years. And do you know how did they disrupt the PC world? They just brought one major change in the system and the rest was the history. They empowered people to co-create their own PCs online. This is what they have done. So they have given you the options, and here are the options. You select the features, and you make your own PC. Now, this was about 2 decades ago or so. And many companies have started creating this whole concept of co-creation in their organizations. And I will ask you in the end whether Pakistani companies are really thinking about co-creation or not. Uber and Careem. Think about these giants. How many of you have, by the way, taken Uber/Careem ride today? Yeah, some of us did. Whenever you book a ride, you are actually co-creating the service. The power is in your hand, not in their hand. They have given you the platform to use. Now, the moment the consumer is thinking, the power is in my hand, you are intrinsically motivated to use the service. Omni-channel. There was always a debate here in Pakistan that we want to give best of the best experience, but I'm wondering, are we really giving the best of the best experience? Because omni-channel is the key. Now, don't confuse omni-channel with multiple channels. We had always multiple channels, which means you can buy online, you can buy in your brick and mortar store. But is it a possibility that I book something online and I get it from the physical location? And vice versa. For that, you have to realign your operations. Now, that is called omni-channel, and companies have started doing it. Dynamic pricing. Now, just imagine, we have been using dynamic pricing in all those classic industries where computerization was happened. For example, air ticketing. I was traveling to Karachi from Lahore. Gosh, I've paid 45,000 rupees for this ticket. Shoot. I don't know why there was so much pressure on Karachi flights, but never mind. But if I book my ticket on some other time, it might be just 25,000 rupees. Now, this is dynamic pricing. So companies are using real-time pricing to kill the demand. Now, this is the concept of dynamic pricing, which actually Uber and Careem, they have been using very successfully. You give them peak pricing rates with a smile on your face. Why? Because you are in a hurry. And they are actually saving you from a lot of embarrassment if you'll get late. Hey, engagement. Our message is no more from coming to the manager or to the brand manager. We are trying to engage people with us. And actually, if you look at this interesting tweak, when you are co-creating, when you are doing this omni-channel, when you are involved people into this dynamic pricing phenomenon, essentially you are engaging them with you. So by your classic product place pricing, you are essentially doing your promotion. So promotion is no more a message delivered to the customer, rather this is engaging customer with you. But you must ask me, Dr. Farrah, where is gamification? This is gamification. I find Uber or Careem a high level of gamification. I don't know whether you find it or not. I find parkwheels.com a high level of gamification. I hope you know about parkwheels.com. It is one of the local startups that has disrupted the classical industry of automobile selling. I grew up in DHL Lahore, and I've seen it actually many times, that there was so dead rush there at the entrance of DHA. But you know what? Now I don't see any car on those DHA main entrances on Sundays and Saturdays for selling. Why? Because all those numbers of cars, they have shifted to parkwheels.com. So parkwheels.com is a brilliant example in this country which have truly used the concept of co-creation. They create their deal online along with Parkwheels, along with the dealers. They actually can see the deal online, they can go to the physical location, they can buy the deal online, they can buy the product offline. And yes, dynamic pricing, because this is real-time coming data with demand and supply. The buyer keeps on changing the pricing, so they are also to some extent using dynamic pricing. And the platform is such that this is all rating-based. So we have a few though, local examples where we are using these rules of gamification. So ladies and gentlemen, in my humble opinion, in the world of digitization, we have disrupted 4 Ps with code. But one thing is for sure, that this code is creating an experience. And here I agree with some of the previous panelists that it is all about creating the hook and not by categorizing people in generation A, B, C, or Z. Because all of us are longing for experiences, and here is the catch. Being a marketer, if you cannot create an experience, whether with your product, whether with your place, whether with your pricing, whether with your promotion, you are dead. So welcome to the world of eCODE. Yeah, this is all about experiences. So that's what I was telling you. So Dr. Farrah, 42 years old, she behaves like a 10-year-old most of the times on social media. Now all those companies who will classify me an old lady, they should think about it again. Why? Because time is disrupted. When my mother was 42 years old, I was thinking her as an old lady. But now when I am 42 years old, even my daughter doesn't think about me that I'm an old lady. Actually, we chat around and we take selfies. So welcome to the world of digitization, and here is the eCODE. Thank you. All right, so now I have to move on to the next speaker, and I think we are keeping the questions till the end. I would like to invite our next speaker, Naveed Asghar Saab.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. The last session before lunch is always difficult, and especially when you're running late. So I'll try and whiz through it, and I'll try and keep it as short as possible. The other thing, I would like to start with a disclaimer. I just, with some delays here and there, I ended up having a 35-hour long journey and reached back Karachi only early this morning. So I'm a bit jet lagged and would be even slower in terms of my thinking. Nevertheless, the request would be to go easy on me when it comes to questions. Okay. Okay. In hindsight, as a marketeer or as anyone, it always looks easy that, yes, we did X, Y, Z, and it turned out to be a success. But come to think of the hard reality that when you are getting into a platform or when you are committing yourself to doing something big, mega, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of courage, it takes that leap of faith to move forward. PSL is one example where we as a brand certainly took that leap of faith, and I'm glad to say that it has turned out to be a roaring and runaway success and turned out to be one of the largest sporting events in Pakistan, if not one of the biggest events in the country itself. From our point of view as a company, PSL as a platform, did it make sense? Even, say, 3.5 years back when we started thinking about it, do we really want to take the plunge? And when we looked around, obviously, as the nation, we just have few hot buttons. Food, sports, within sports, it's certainly cricket, and then it's music. So, and all these places and properties are overly cluttered, as we know. But looking at the passion of the nation, looking at that all socio-income, different age groups get along and they have a natural interest in the sport, we thought it would be a good bet. Then we also thought that as a platform, given that HBL is all about Jahan Khab, Wahan HBL, so it would do well and go well with our brand essence and DNA in terms of giving a platform to the young budding cricketing stars. We also thought and questioned ourselves that is this a platform which would actually get big over time? Is it scalable? It's not. But the most difficult question, which still remains a question, by the way, to us is, would it make sense financially? Would it give the right ROI as a brand, given the price tag? So we set out our objectives to do HBL in terms of the brand essence, that given it's a fit and it will give a platform to the young budding cricketing stars to become the cricketing legends of the future, which is all about enabling their dreams. We set out also on a journey to revive the passion of cricket in Pakistan. We had seen the glorious days of early 90s of cricket, and with international cricket going out of Pakistan, we thought that this would serve as a platform to revive that. But the other difficult thing as a marketeer, and I'm trying to put my slides and content more from a learnings point of view rather than from a bragging point of view that this is what we did. When you commit to a platform or any sponsorship for that matter, you got to think through that what are you paying for that property, and then how much are you going to invest in that property over and above to leverage that platform. Because if you get that ratio or the mix wrong, then you're doomed. Because yes, you might end up creating a property, but you might not be able to own it. You might not be able to drive strong association and resonance with it. So we had to think through how can we do it differently? How can we break free from the clutter, given that there were lots and lots of brands eyeing for it? So we have tried over the last 3 years, given that HBL PSL has already successfully completed 3 seasons, and we are just going to kickstart the next one as of Feb 14th, HBL PSL, given that we have renewed our association and nomenclature rights for PSL for the next 3 years as a brand. So life is all about choices. It boils down to whether you're doing conventional media, which as a brand we did, but are you going to do ads and then try and run it during the tournament, or are you going to create other properties and innovative ways of engaging the consumers which are cost effective, which gives the right traction? So it is because no brand, no matter how big or small it is, the budgets are always finite. You're constrained for the resources. And having committed a large sum of our total investment behind the sponsorship cost itself, we had to think through very carefully what we can and should do as a brand and what we ought not to do. So we made some hard calls. Some paid off, some didn't. Some worked very well. So for example, as a platform, as HBL, we had access to 29 university branches. Given that the passion of cricket amongst youth is high, we activated those. We have a huge footprint given that we are in every nook and corner of the country with over 1,700 branches. We activated that as a platform. Obviously, we did a bit of conventional media coupled with print, although for banks, print is, fortunately or unfortunately, Ali, print is not dead. So that's good news. We also did PR amplification, etc. over time. And last but not the least, we had to do the right level of activation on the ground. But on-ground activation only works as a brand if you're able to amplify it through the media. Because otherwise, you'll only reach out to X thousand, at best couple of thousands, but you would not get the true leverage and power of the brand spend unless you can get that mileage on the mass media. Alhamdulillah, I'm pleased to let everyone know that the platform worked beautifully well for us. There are 4 quadrants on this chart. So the first is the value of the HBL PSL itself. It has grown tremendously in terms of media value for us, from say $37 million all the way to $67 million over the last 3 years. While our investment over these 3 years, we had to up our investments significantly. And in dollar terms, over the last 2 years, it was almost constant. And normally, one would think that ROI tends to taper off over time, given that if you're putting even more investment behind a platform, it tends to taper off over time. But luckily for us, the graph has been an overwhelming and a brilliant success. From a 6.7 ROI, we ended up delivering more than 12x as ROI last year on HBL PSL, coupled with delivering very strong business results in terms of running the consumer promotions and activating the platform to truly leverage and try to make sense in terms of ROI on the business sense, making true business sense out of it. And last but not the least, we as a brand believe that this platform has gone a long way in helping consolidate and further strengthen our brand equity, which now stands at 4.2 on a scale of 5, which is more than double of our competitors. And we would attribute the platform PSL a big contribution to this success. So my last slide, all the food for thought I would like to leave with you guys is that in terms of any brand, whenever we are endeavoring into new territories, new platforms, there's never a crystal ball with anyone. So it was certainly, even for us, it was a leap of faith that we took, which paid off. The point that I made earlier, that as a brand, you got to carefully think it through, that what would be the right ratio between the sponsorship money that you are willing to pay as a brand, and that challenge, by the way, that dilemma we faced even at the time of renewal, given the renewal cost had gone up significantly, that would we be still able to pay for the sponsorship, yet will have sufficient funds as a brand to leverage this platform. So the right ratio. Then you got to continue, stay ahead of the curve in terms of bringing in innovation, be it the spider cams, be it the ball droppage through drones, be it anything else, other than the normal conventional media, and leveraging the true essence of digital media, what this conference was all about. You got to continue doing and thinking through that, okay, what other platforms or properties one can create on behind this PSL as a property, be it the Crease with Ramiz or any other engaging platforms which will truly leverage the money being invested or spent behind this. And last but not least, I'm always a strong advocate that as a brand, it pays off to do fewer, but make them bigger and better. So that's the last thought that I would like to leave with you. Before I end my presentation, obviously for us, given that we have signed up for the next 3 years in terms of the nomenclature rights for PSL, so the journey continues for us for the next 3 years. And I would like to play a very short video clip for you for 2 minutes to encapsulate our journey. Thank you.
Now, our next guest, Mr. Hando Sinisalu. He's the CEO, Best Marketing International Europe.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Hando Sinisalu, and this strange name means that I come from a tiny, tiny country called Estonia. And I'm going to talk about the changing landscape of B2B marketing in a digital age. B2B stands for a business to business, but in the advertising world, there's a joke that it's the actual true meaning is boring to boring, because business to business marketing is like a poor cousin of business to consumer marketing, because all exciting stuff comes from B2C. I'm going to start with some trends overview. There is a advertising research organization called Worx in London, and they are probably the best experts in all trends in marketing and advertising. And every year they publish a report where they research, in this time, 800 marketing, media, and advertising professionals from all over the world. And they ask about the most important trends for the coming year. And for the year 2019, the year that just started, #1 priority for marketers and media and advertising people was how to improve customer experience. And this was already the second year in a row where customer experience, or CX, was voted as the top priority. However, only 15% of the brands, they are confident that the consumer experience they offer is good enough. So there is a huge gap between the reality and where the minds are set at the moment. Customer experience is not only what the customers get in your office, in your branch, in your shop, speaking to your customer service agents. It's also about how your website, what is the experience in a digital space. And successful companies have this offline and online experiences very well aligned. Another piece of research from an organization called Content Marketing Institute in the US about trends in B2B marketing. And here they say that 96% of the successful content marketers agree that their organizations have built credibility and trust with their audience. So content marketing is becoming more and more important in B2B. And the main reason why B2B brands are engaged in content marketing is that this is the way how they build reputation and trust. So B2B marketing is just as much about people as B2C marketing. You might think that you are selling and marketing to organizations or businesses, but there are people working in those organizations, and they have emotions too. So it's not like one organization marketing to another organization. It's communication between human beings. Strangely enough, many B2B organizations even don't have marketing departments. It doesn't mean that they don't do marketing. They just call those people different names. And very often it's called sales support, which means that sales is more important than marketing. And branding and marketing are the functions that are not prioritized. And this is going to change in a digital age. Because customers are not looking for your sales materials anymore. Because customers are starting their search from Google, mainly Google, but also other search engines such as Amazon or YouTube. And buyers might be 60 to 90% through their purchase journey before they reach out to a seller. And the same is happening in other areas, for example, in healthcare as well. Because increasingly doctors, my dad is a doctor, and he complains when the patient comes to a doctor, the patient already has self-diagnosed himself. Because it's so easy to search on Google, and you obviously get very scary information if you search on Google. They always suggest that you have the worst possible condition. So the same with car dealerships. Very often, if the person comes to buy a car, the buyer is more expert than the seller. Because if you really want to spend a lot of money on a car, you do a lot of research. You spend nights and nights researching the car, reading the reviews. And once you reach the sales office or the car dealership, then you know more about the car than the seller does. And this is really important trend. Buyers spend longer time doing research. And they increasingly use mobile phones to do that. At the moment in the US and Western Europe, 50% of B2B search queries are made on smartphones, which means that you have to be sure that your website is mobile friendly. And still, although mobiles have been the main source for internet search already for a couple of years already, it's surprising how many big companies even have not optimized their websites for mobiles. Although all the new platforms like WordPress and the others, they automatically offer mobile-friendly solutions. But if you have an old website, you have a lot of materials there, believe me, it's almost impossible, or nobody would like to download a PDF and read it on their mobile screen. You have to be ready that the information you provide on your website is mobile-friendly and optimized for that. And that figure is expected to grow to 70% by next couple of years. So mobile is and will be the primary source for internet search. 75% of B2B buyers rely more heavily on content to research and make purchasing decisions than they did years ago. And this is a research by Demand Generation. So it means that if buyers are searching something on internet, then the only way how your company, how your brand can be relevant is that you have relevant content. Of course, you can pay for Google search. You can buy AdWords, and you can pay for that. But if you want your brand to pop up organically, the only way to do that is to offer high-quality content. High quality means that the content has to be original, it has to be relevant, and also quite often long, because especially when it comes to articles and text, longer formats are doing better on Google. And the content can be text, it can be video. Increasingly video is important. It can be infographics, it can be even podcasts, depending on what kind of business you are exactly. Social media is becoming more important. Already now in the Western Europe and the US, 83% of B2B marketers use social media. And 50% say that social media has improved their marketing optimization, customer experience, and brand health. And almost 60% use YouTube to distribute content, 89% use LinkedIn. So the future of B2B is that many major brands are taking business to human approach. I said B2B is already out of fashion. B2H, business to human, is their new reality. And Linda Buff, CMO at GE, one of the biggest B2B companies in the world, she has said that we don't believe in B2B or B2C. We believe in B2H. We market to humans. When it comes to social media, then employees can often be believed more than the CEO. In a traditional world, the CEO used to be the main spokesperson of the company. CEO was the media star. In social media, maybe your salesperson, maybe your engineer, maybe even your secretary may have more social capital than your CEO. So clever companies use their employees as their ambassadors, and they utilize the social capital their employees have. So a typical company's employee base has 10 times the social reach of the company itself. And social media is about people. Social media is meant to be people-to-people media, not brands-to-people media. And if you compare the successful YouTubers, influencers, other people on social media, they are actually more successful than any of the brands. So one good strategy for B2B marketing on social media could also be to utilize the power of your people instead of trying to push your brand through. Of course, there are certain threats related to that, because it's very difficult to control what these people say. They might leave your organization and start working for the competitor and take all the capital with them. But of course, there are ways how to regulate that. But the point shortly is that you need to utilize your people because they have much bigger social capital than the brand itself. And marketing and sales overall is becoming more pull-oriented. So instead of pushing your message through, because there's so much clutter, so much noise, so much information, consumers would rather do their search on their own terms, their own time, and you have to provide them with content so that they will find it whenever they need it. Content marketing is getting increasingly important. As I said, 86% of B2B marketers already use content marketing. And the good content is not about bragging about how good you are. And this is probably the biggest mistake what happens in content marketing, especially in B2B. Consumers are not interested about how good you are. They are not interested in how big your company is, how nice office it has, how long, glorious history it has. Consumers are interested in their own problems. So if you provide content, try to put yourself in the shoes of a customer and offer the content that helps to solve the customer's problems instead of bragging about yourself. 50% of B2B buyers view at least 8 pieces of content during the purchase process. Again, content really, really important. The difficult part of content marketing is how to measure the effectiveness of it, because content marketing usually doesn't give you immediate results as sales promotion activities. So clever companies combine these two things. They have content marketing and also sales promotion. And the average return on investment period of content marketing is almost 2 years. So it's really long term. It's like branding. And instead of trying to measure the immediate sales effect of content marketing, you should rather use KPIs that are more related to engagement and customer interest. I'm going to show you a few short case films that illustrate the kind of modern practices of B2B marketing and how you can create content. And the first example is from SAP, the global software company. And you know, software products, IT products tend to be quite boring and technical. But there are ways how these companies can make themselves interesting and how to make themselves exciting and use emotions. And they have used very modern approach to marketing called data-driven creativity. So all companies have some sort of data in their organization that can be interesting for your users. The only trick here is how to find that piece of data and how to use it. So take a look at the short case film of the campaign done by SAP. So this movie is showing the case where SAP was trying to find out what is the most livable city in the world. So many magazines, many research organizations, they make the top lists of the places, the most livable places in the world. And very often they're biased because journalists are doing that and it's not very serious. So as a software company, they really looked into hundreds of different sources of information, and they were analyzing all data related to weather, wages, quality of life, social media sentiment. And by doing that, they were able to make a top list of places that are most livable, and the winner was Perth in Australia. So Perth in Australia, although it's far away from other big cities, it's considered to be a most livable city or the highest quality of life. So this research cost them quite a bit of money, but because media loves such kind of reports, they got so much earned media, free media, that the return on investment of this campaign was really good. So this is a lesson for B2B marketers these days, is that whatever you do, whatever type of campaign you do, you have to think of the PR ability of this. So if the action you do is interesting for the media, for the journalists, they would most likely pick it up and give additional amplification to this campaign. Like it happened with another one. If you're producing excavators, machinery, then again, this is not very exciting product. And there is a lot of competition. There are several companies that produce good excavators. And there are ways how you can demonstrate your superiority of your product. And very often it's done by describing technical terms. But Volvo did it in a nice way using action hero Dolph Lundgren, who is known from the Rocky movies. And here is a case film.
Rise and shine, maggots. I'm here to pump you up! Give me 20 push-ups now.
Pump up the jam, pump it up. While your feet are stumping, and the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more, get the party going on the dance floor.
I'm proud of you, maggots.
This guy is, by the way, 62 years old. He looks much younger than that. So this particular film got 17.3 million views, and globally 635 articles were written about this particular case. So who would write about the new model of Volvo excavator? Maybe only a trade press. But if you manage to tap it with some celebrity or do an interesting product demonstration, then media immediately becomes interested in you. So if you think of selling B2B products, you should not only think of the immediate buyer, the audience, but you should also think all the influencers around that buyer. Because maybe the purchasing manager of a construction company goes home and his wife and children have seen this movie and they start conversation about how cool Volvo excavators are. And actually these little human things influence big decisions, because all people, all business decision makers, however, how important they are humans at the end of the day, and they might ask a recommendation from their children what type of excavator or manufacturing equipment to buy. So remember, B2B is not about the boring businesses, it's about emotions and human beings. Thank you so much.
That's great. And thank you for showing us these very interesting videos. Before I request our session chair, Syed Masood Saab, to wrap up the session, I open the forum for Q&A. If you have any questions, we have like about 5-7 minutes for questions right now. So if you have questions.
Before that, actually we could run the clip of HBL PSL.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah,
on
if
now.
we can. Yes,
So
sure.
we apologize to Naveed Asghar Saab first.
Perfectly okay. Let's see if it works
Can
now.
you run it, please?
Fingers crossed.
निकले हैं शहजादे दुनिया को दिखाने, आए हैं हम दीवाने फिर से गेम उठाने। पूछो ना ये कैसी रात होगी आज, हर सू चारों तरफ होगी अपनी बात। फिर सीटी बजेगी, स्टेज सजेगा और ताली बजेगी, अब खेल जमेगा। फिर सीटी बजेगी, स्टेज सजेगा और ताली बजेगी, अब खेल जमेगा। ला 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 ला
मैं हूँ रमीज राजा और मैं हर पाकिस्तानी की तरह HBL PSL का हिस्सा हूँ। मैं हूँ शहजाद रॉय और मैं हर पाकिस्तानी की तरह HBL PSL का हिस्सा हूँ।
फिर सीटी बजेगी, स्टेज सजेगा और ताली बजेगी, अब खेल जमेगा। ला 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 ला। जान सुबह अखबारों में गलियों बाजारों में सैकड़ों हजारों में आ छा जाए होठों पे सबके होगा अपना नाम जश्न का सा समा हो सरेआम पूछो ना ये कैसी रात होगी आज हर सू चारों तरफ होगी अपनी बात फिर सीटी बजेगी
जहां ख्वाब वहां HPL.
Right, Jay. So we open the forum for Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can ask. All right, we have a few questions. So can we take questions from there, please?
I have the mic, so I'll ask the question first. I'll have the mic.
Oh, okay.
मेरे ख्याल में, you know, my view is, and it's my personal view, the marketing profession in Pakistan has underperformed. In the sense of giving really creative and original ads. अभी भी जो virality ads की आती है आप देखते हैं वो इंडिया से आ रही है. Now अब बहुत ज़्यादा हमारे disadvantages, we can say that we have a lot of disadvantages, but definitely in terms of creativity or access to money, why hasn't there been great like global standard creative campaigns that have come out of Pakistan? I haven't seen many in the last 5 to 10 years. I haven't seen any in the last 5 to 10 years. And yet हमें जो ads forward होते रहते हैं वो ज़्यादातर इंडिया से हैं. So क्या है? Creativity नहीं है, पैसा नहीं है, या वो drive नहीं है कि वो to strive for that edge in the marketing industry in Pakistan.
And your question is from?
My question is from for yourself and Syed Masood
Okay,
Saab.
all right. My 2 cents are that, you might disagree with me, India is on the mission of re-engineering of their society. I don't know whether you have noticed it or not. So for example, in the previous panel discussion, we were talking about that majority of us would like to still listen to this, that if women are keeping their homes clean, they will get thumbs up from their husband. If you have this kind of a mindset, and you are creating advertisement with this very obsolete mindset, from where will you get the kick in the advertisement? Of course you won't. You simply won't. And what you are getting from India is that India, of course Indians know what majorities are thinking, but they also know that this majority has a hidden desire. So being a marketer, we have to tap onto that hidden desire. And that's what I believe Indians are doing. They know that market is perhaps not ready at the moment, but they also know that there is a hidden desire in the masses that they actually would like to listen to this message. But they don't have the power to come to you and say, all right, hame ye message sunai. And just a last word which I would like to spread here, कि each year when I go in the classroom and I talk to young people here in Pakistan, I request them, can you be a bit more creative with your marketing message? So I think as a country, we really need to think about it that yes, it's high time to become a bit more creative. I'm not sure whether you have seen Shank advertisement or not. They are one of the most creative advertisements of this age, which we have here in Pakistan. They started off with 2 boys, not very happy, far away. They brought that element into it. Then they tapped onto the CPAC. Remember that? Chinese ad? It was brilliant. And now they were talking about a very stereotype कि बिरयानी तो सिर्फ औरत ही बना सकती है, ऐसा नहीं है. आदमी भी बड़ी अच्छी बिरयानी बना सकता है. So I think they're trying to touch with the souls and the hearts of people, and I think this is what we need at the moment.
I would like to add here, actually, we have given example of India basically, that they have got better ads. I think we have also good television commercials, but if you look at this from a broader point of view, in the last 70 years, Pakistan has been in martial law for 35 years, almost 35 years. And the first rule of martial law is don't think. Do as you have been asked to do. So all these, all these forms of whether liberal arts or fine arts or performing arts were basically sin in Pakistan for many, many years. So all these things, these are nurseries for all these things. So we were like having an artificial environment in which we all survived, frankly speaking. But the last few years has been good. We are producing better films also and television commercials also. And on the other side, if you take it philosophically, this is my answer, and if you take it from the other angle, Indian is the biggest film industry in the world. And they've got so many facilities, and they use it for television commercials also. So that is also one thing, and it's a bigger market. So multinationals also concentrate more on India and then Pakistan. So I agree with your point of view, and this is my humble contribution.
Thank you. Can we take question from there, please?
Yeah, hello. My name is Bilal Ahmed and I'm from distribution industry, a cricket fan for sure. So my question is from Mr. Naveed Asghar Saab. Recently ESPN, I respect your long journey, by the way. Recently ESPN wrote an article, a long article on PSL franchises, and it showed that HBL, PSL, all of the franchises were in deep losses. I see Karachi Kings representation as well here. So how positive you are for the franchise's profitability, because HPL is the prime sponsor in this whole PSL journey. The costs are in dollars, our currency is depreciating, you are getting revenue in Pakistani rupees, but paying the sponsorship fees in dollars. So it was $5.2 million in first year, and now it's like 14.3 million in this third or fourth year. And the franchises are also feeling the negativity that the event is going on in UAE. So the costs are really high in UAE rather comparing in Pakistan. So what is this growth over the sponsorship fees, and how positive you are for this whole championship as compared to IPL as well, and how it will benefit you as a brand? Thank you.
All right.
So there are multiple dimensions to what you just said. I beg to agree with some, while I'll give you my personal perspective and insights on the other. So as far as, yes, as a platform, it's becoming bigger, at the same time more expensive. So no twos about it. Coming on the franchise model, I think the 5 teams which bought the teams in the first go, and they paid anywhere between $1.4 million, as low as $1.4 million per annum, all the way to $2.6 million as the highest. At that point in time, it still makes a lot of sense for those 5 teams. And I know for a fact that they are close to making profits. They are so they are still in red, but any business for that matter in terms of the returns. So on one hand, while in terms of the cash flows, they are still in red, but look at the kind of return that they have gotten on their investment. In terms of the valuation, it has at least doubled, if not tripled, for most of them. And barring aside Multan Sultans, which was bought at a later stage and which came into the equation at $5.2 million and subsequently has been sold for more. So yes, they will struggle, and probably it will be a lot longer for them in terms of getting the right ROI and returns on their investment, and it would still be a stretch. But I think for all others, it did make perfect sense, and it will continue to make sense. HBL PSL has become the second biggest league within 3 years in the world. So barring aside IPL, which is not only bigger in terms of the number of years it has been there, they have already completed a decade. So we are only 3 years into the equation, and I think as a league, from our perspective, HPL PSL, for everybody in the equation has done exceedingly well.
Right, thank you. I'm afraid we are short of time. Of course, you can join us over the lunch for the questions. I would like to request Syed Masood Saab to wrap up the session, Ji.
Actually, I don't want to sum it up because we have just taken these presentations, and thank you for the speakers. Wonderful presentations. And this is usually called the graveyards of speaker session because you are competing against lunch also. So I think these speakers are here. You can ask them more questions while we have lunch. So thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you to our presenters and to Syed Masood. So we will actually now be presenting some mementos. So I would like to ask that Syed Masood, Hashmi, please help with this. First, I invite Dr. Farrah Arif, founder, again, of EdTech Worx and assistant professor from LUMS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Naveed Asghar Saab, Chief Marketing Officer, Habib Bank Limited. And Mr. Hando Sinisalu, CEO, Best Marketing International Europe. I invite Asadur Rahman Saab, Director, Media and Digital Transformation, Unilever MENA, and AM Marketer of the Year 2018 to please come on stage to present the memento to Syed Masood Hashmi Saab. Should be the way. All right, thank you. Can we all stand for a group photograph, please? Thank you.